Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Hour. It's been a while, and unfortunately, we've not been able to record a new episode because there has been a lot of restructuring in the office. We were busy with some publishing projects as well as certain trainings, but we're back, and today I'll try a new format and I'll be keeping my notes on the screen. So if you're listening to this episode on your phone in a podcast app, it's going to be just as usual. But if you're watching it on YouTube or on a video platform, you'll also be able to see some of the notes that I take on the screen. So let's get started. Today's episode is about getting ready for the new year, and I'll be sharing some of my personal observations as well as some tools and techniques that can help you get ready for the new year. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for an incredible year. Yesterday, I had a look at some of the stats from the Spotify app and from the podcast apps, and it seems that we have listeners from around the world. And to be precise, it's I think 57 countries in total. And what's more, we were featured as the editor's choice for Apple Podcasts Turkey this year, and it was also an honor, and for that I'd like to thank you for your support. So, how do you get ready for the new year? These are basically some of my steps that I take, that I observe to get ready for the new year. So I think the first step, and the most important one, is to first review the past year. So how was your year? What did you accomplish? What did you not accomplish? What were you planning to accomplish? So if you understand your situation, if you evaluate it, that means you can perfect your system. That means you can improve your system, because a system is not always perfect. As human beings, we always try to build a system to organize something, and at first it might not be an ideal solution, but over time, as you observe yourself, as you practice your system, you can make it better. And understanding your situation, evaluating your data, and setting goals for the future definitely helps you with that planning. So I think you can say that a plan is definitely better than no plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're basically being reactive. Being reactive means that you're not being proactive. When you're proactive, you set your goals, you take certain steps to accomplish those goals. And in that case, you're in control of your life. Of course, as a human, you're not fully in control. There are things that are beyond your control. You cannot fully control everything, but at least you have some sort of control over your life, over your timing, over your energy, and so on. So if you're setting goals, that means you're being proactive. But if you don't set goals, it's like you're moving from one place to another with no clear goal, with no clear agenda. And that means time passes by without you really accomplishing that much. So having a plan, setting certain goals definitely makes sense. And when I talk about goals and making a plan, I generally think about personal life and professional life. So what we plan to accomplish in our personal life and what we plan to accomplish in our professional life might be different, so we'll talk about them both. And I'd also like to talk about relationships and family. And I think this is something that I've come to appreciate more, because when I was younger, I wasn't really aware of the importance of relationships and family. But as you get older, as you spend more time with your family, your parents, your wife, your children, and so on, you start to realize the importance of social relations or close relations in keeping you healthy, in keeping you happy. And there are studies showing that as people get older, the one thing that makes them the happiest and healthiest are the close and quality relationships that they have. So relationships and family have definitely an important place in our lives. We might not realize it, but they are a cornerstone in our lives. Okay, so let's talk about personal life. I mean, I have some goals for this year from a personal point of view, and I think some of these goals might also relate to you. So I'd like to be a more active person this year because I spend a lot of time indoors. I spend a lot of time in my office. I spend a lot of time in front of my computer, sometimes recording episodes, sometimes writing books, sometimes answering emails and so on. So a lot of my time is not very active. And as time passes by, I think it's having a toll on me. And I can imagine a lot of people suffering from the same problem because in the modern world, we spend a lot of time collectively as a society in front of our screens, and that means we have less active time. And it makes it imperative for us to engage in some sort of activity to keep our body healthy, to move our body, i.e. sports. So personally, I'm not that much into sports. I mean, I like playing football and volleyball, but it's not always possible to find or form a team and play a tournament and so on. So it's important to find something practical that you can easily implement in your daily life. And there are two approaches to this. Some would say, okay, let's find motivation to do sports. But as we talked before, motivation is not always the best solution. And I think habits can outperform motivation when it comes to changing our lives. And there are two approaches in terms of habits. You can either use a carrots approach or a sticks approach. And basically, carrots means you reward yourself with something as a result of your habit. And sticks means you punish yourself if you don't do something. For example, let's imagine this scenario. I don't really want to go out and walk or run, but I say to myself, okay, if I go out and maybe walk for 20-30 minutes, then I'll treat myself a delicious lunch or dinner or a piece of chocolate or something. So find something that can motivate you and then use it as an incentive to do that thing that you're avoiding to do. Or in the case of sticks, you can try to punish yourself, but that requires a lot of self-discipline. And personally, this year, I'm planning to spend more time with my daughter. Like, she's growing up. She was a baby last year. Now she's able to communicate with us. And I think it's incredible to see a baby grow up, to become a child. And I mean, it's an incredible transformation. Like this little baby turning into a 2-year-old, a little girl. It's incredible. And when that child is talking to you, when you have this close relationship, it's an incredible feeling. Like, I think it's not possible to understand that feeling of intimacy and love without being a parent. Because, like, I guess when I was single, I would probably never understand the level of intimacy and love that a parent has for his children. But now it's a different story. So it's incredible. And it made me realize that you really need to experience certain things before talking about them. In Turkish, there is a saying, if you're single, you think getting a divorce is easy. It's not like that. Like, when you're in a relationship, when you experience something, like the experiences that you have inside that situation, or when you are going through that situation, are very different from what you would observe from the outside. So I think it brings a different flavor to one's life. Of course, there are difficulties, a lot of difficulties associated with being a parent, but I think the advantages, the beauty and the love definitely transcends those difficulties. And another important point is to set aside time for quality relationships, because these days we talk to everyone, but in fact we talk to no one. Like, we're in contact with a lot of people, messages, emails, maybe phone calls, instant messaging, and so on. We're in contact with a lot of people, but most of the time those relationships are superficial. Or maybe we love someone, we love talking to certain people, but we don't really set aside time to spend with those people. And if you leave things as they are, then you might never find time for those relationships. And thus, it's important to consciously set aside some time so that you can spend time with your loved ones, or you can spend time with people who you learn from, or people that you like. So I'll try to set aside more time for quality relationships. That's one of my goals for the next year. And of course, we all have professional goals. And I mean, in professional life, there is always this need to move forward, because if you stay where you are, you will be left behind. That's a fact, because technology is changing constantly. Apps, applications, techniques, they're also changing. And people expect very different things each and every year. So as a professional, as a person who is good at his or her job, it's your duty to stay up to date. And it definitely requires a lot of effort. And if you want to go the extra mile, you have to move out of your comfort zone. And this year, I am planning to move out of my comfort zone. And I think I'll be sharing some of behind the scenes decisions that I'll make this year. But for now, let's keep it a secret. But I'm definitely planning to move out of my comfort zone in a big way. And I'm planning to take on bigger challenges, take on bigger problems. Because, for example, we're trying to modernize, we're trying to bring a different approach to learning English in Turkey, especially academic English. A lot of students struggle with English in Turkey, with academic English. A lot of students fail their English prep tests, and then they're in depression because they spend months, in some cases years, and then they fail. And there are systemic problems with regards to the prep school curriculum and with regards to how people approach language learning. And we're trying to change that. And also we're helping a lot of people get ready for international English exams such as IELTS and TOEFL. And these are novel areas in Turkey. Of course, there are some materials, there are some institutions, but as they currently stand, they're not able to address the needs and the problems of the population. And we're trying to put together our experience with modern technology. We're trying to harmonize technology and experience to develop better solutions, to develop better materials, books, online trainings, and so on. And it's definitely challenging, it's definitely difficult, but I think it's worth it, because like accomplishing such a goal, helping hundreds of thousands of students move forward, both personally and professionally, is an incredible feat. I mean, that would really satisfy me. That would really make me happy as a teacher. And another goal for this year is to take on more international projects. We've done some amazing projects in the Turkish market, and we've gained a lot of experience when it comes to working with non-native students. So we work with students who are preparing for IELTS or preparing for TOEFL. We worked with business people from all around Turkey. We worked with professionals. We worked with, basically, you can call them celebrities in their fields. We worked with a lot of high-profile students, and that allowed us to gain a lot of insight and experience when it comes to helping them deal with their challenges in English. And I think it's important to transfer this experience, this knowledge, into the international arena. It's important to utilize this information to help people around the globe. So I'm definitely planning to take on more international challenges and projects, and will of course be sharing all of these with you in the coming months and years. So I've got a few observations before we wrap things up. I've realized that trying to do everything all at once fails because, as humans, we have a lot of goals, we have a lot of desires, like we want to do everything, we want to have everything, we want to accomplish everything. But it really doesn't work that way, because when you're trying to accomplish everything, in fact, you're accomplishing nothing because you're spreading yourself too thin. And unfortunately, I've committed this sin myself several times because I get too excited about projects, like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to start this one, and then projects start piling up, and in the end I find myself exhausted because I can only manage so many projects, and I can imagine a lot of people suffering from the same problem. So as humans, our resources, our energy is limited. That means we have to manage our energy, we have to manage our resources, we have to channel them in a way that leads to victory. So instead of trying to do everything at once, instead of trying to juggle so many balls at the same time, I think it matters and it's imperative that we focus on a few major goals. We need to choose a few major goals that can make all the other goals irrelevant. Like, pick 2 or 3 major life goals or professional or personal goals that can make a huge impact on your life, and focus on those 2 or 3 major goals. And if you can accomplish those 2 or 3 major goals, I'm sure you'll have a much better life, both as a person and as a professional. So, in the next few days or weeks before the year comes to a close, I'll be going over my year. I'll be trying to select my goals for the next year, and I'll try to make the best of my new year because, our time is limited. We do not have eternal life, and that means we have to make the most of our life, the most of our time. So that's basically it. As I said, this was a new format, and I'd like to wish all of you a happy new year, and to all of us, we're on the same boat. So a happy new year to everyone, and I hope your next year or the new year will be a much better year than this year, and I hope that you'll find peace and prosperity and love this next year. Well, till the next episode, bye guys, and we'll see you in the next episode, and cheers to all of our listeners around the globe, and it's always a pleasure, and as I said, take care. Bye.